Good evening. I'm Marco Rubio, and I regret not being with you in person, but let me start by thanking all of you for your commitment to public service. In this room tonight, I know that both parties are represented, so while we agree on many things, we also have major differences on a bunch of other issues. But one thing I know is that all of us wake up each day with a passion, is the issue of making the American dream a reality for the people we represent, as well as others throughout America. And one of the main reasons why this country is so special is because it's one of the few places in the world where you're not captive of your birth. Here, even if you were not born into a rich or a powerful family, you had the real chance to make a better life for yourself if you work hard and you persevere. And this is still who we are, but it's gotten harder. Today we have a growing opportunity gap in America, and if we don't reverse this trend, we are going to lose the upward mobility that makes this an exceptional nation. Simply put, we need the best ideas that recognize every single person, whether they're rich or poor, employed or unemployed or underemployed, has the God-given dignity and the potential. And it's our job to make sure everyone has equality of opportunity, to get better paying jobs and more opportunities to provide for their families. Now, of course, as you gather tonight to acknowledge the Senate's immigration work in 2013, I know many of you are wondering what, if anything, will happen in this Congress when it comes to that issue. The good news is that there's an emerging national and bipartisan consensus that we do need to do something. And the even better news is that most reform ideas are not controversial. Almost everyone agrees that our current legal immigration system is too cumbersome, too bureaucratic, and that therefore it needs to be reformed. There's also broad agreement that we need to do a better job of logging in visitors to our country, giving employers reliable ways to verify the status of their workers, and improving security at certain sectors of our border. The more difficult issue, of course, is what do we do about 12 million human beings who are in our country living in violation of our immigration laws? And the emerging consensus there is that most of them should be given the chance to get right with the law and incorporate themselves into our society, but only if it's done responsibly, and only if it comes accompanied with measures that ensure we never find ourselves in this predicament again. So last year I worked on this issue. And the most prevalent argument I heard against the Senate immigration bill was that no matter what law we passed, the government would not enforce it. The argument that, just like 1986, the legalization would happen, but the enforcement never would. And that still remains the single greatest impediment, the single most prevalent argument that I hear moving forward. So what I've argued is, let's begin moving forward on the things we do agree on. Because I truly and honestly believe if we do, we can create the momentum and the confidence we need to finish the job. And I'm now convinced that if our approach is that we either do everything at once or do nothing at all, we might be left with what we have right now, nothing at all. Now, I recognize this approach is not universally popular, and I acknowledge that it comes with its own set of problems and risks. But Washington has tried the other way for over a decade now, well before I got here, and it hasn't worked. So isn't it time to try a different approach? Because incremental progress, even if it happens in pieces, and it takes more time, is still better than nothing. As the son of immigrants raised in a community of immigrants who knows that immigration is a part of what makes America exceptional, I think we will eventually find a solution to this problem. Because as Winston Churchill once famously said, you can always count on Americans to do the right thing after they've tried everything else. We've tried everything else. So let's try it a different way. And in the meantime, while an immigration solution eludes us right now, I'm hopeful that we can move ahead on all the other ideas and reforms that will give our children and grandchildren the lives they deserve. A life of security, prosperity, and happiness. So thank you for this opportunity and for tonight's recognition. May God bless all of you and your families. And may God always bless the United States of America.